What is the winning combination for collaboration as far as the fintech space is concerned? What's the formula? What do we need to put together in this particular space in order for collaborations to bring some kind of fruition?
Right. Thanks. Thanks so much. And hi guys. Habari zenyu. That just means how are you doing? So anyway, in Swahili. So I think pretty much to come to your question. From where I sit, I feel it's on 3 levels, to be quite specific. So one is particularly on investment. Then the second level is obviously on innovation and distribution. And I feel that level is particularly on talent. And on the investment side, the way I think about it is, so Africa Stocking is funded by Orange, is one of our investors. And when you think about Orange as an organization, it's pretty much legacy. It's been there for quite some time, scale across the continent and even in Europe. And but they decided to invest in us. And one of the ways of looking at that is this organization that is pretty much an established legacy organization deciding part of how I'm gonna spend my R&D money is to pump it into an organization or a startup that I feel is doing something to promote or to advance whatever sphere that I'm operating in. And I feel like that's one of the most critical ways in which we can pretty much create that win-win collaboration between startups and incumbents, because once those funds are available, then what it means is this startup is able to scale, grow across multiple markets. Well, this legacy organization is able to now advance itself and possibly view technologies that are quite interesting for the future. And then coming to the second point around innovation and distribution. So when you think about a scenario between a startup and a large organization, it's a startup hoping that they will amass distribution quite fast, while hoping that the incumbent won't figure out that innovation as fast enough. So when you find that mix and mash between the two of them, where you have this startup being able to view the incumbent as a supporter of its distribution, and that they can tap into that distribution, while you have the incumbent viewing the startup as a source of innovation for them, I feel that's one other way that you can create collaboration. And then finally, my last point is on talent. I feel there needs to be a lot of cross-pollination between what startups are doing and what the incumbent or legacy organizations are doing. And so you think about it, you have a bunch of people who are possibly at the C-suite level in a huge organization or a legacy organization, and they have a mass experience. So all the data and all the insights and information around growing a space or growing an ecosystem are sitting with these guys. But then you have a startup that is very nimble, very agile, obviously knows what they want to do, but then they might have the engineering prowess, but then can't figure out all these other permutations. How do I write my stack? They're yet to figure out what's the best way to sort of deal with taxation issues. And so that cross-pollination where allows for development of network effects. So this startup can access mentoring, it can access the right introductions, and can be able to grow, scale itself quite fast. So I feel like those are the 3 areas in which that can take place. And I feel there's a lot taking place in that sphere, and more just needs to be done to advance it. Yeah.
Fantastic. I like your point about talent. So we are not short of talent in Africa. It's just the push as far as investment and funds that we need here. So the talent point, I like that. Elsa, your turn. Same question for you. Your combination for a win-win soup, if you will, as far as collaboration is concerned. What are your thoughts?
So I'm going to talk from the perspective of the big group like MTN or Orange that is meeting a small startup that has the right idea, but is trying to make a big deal signing off with MTN or another big telco. So this is a difficult situation when you think about this. Here is a big organization that has like lengthy process about payment, about signing off a contract and so on, that is facing a small and agile organization that needs that contract immediately, that payment immediately, and to start the partnership immediately. So when you think about this, the main difficulty is the time scale, right? One has a lot of time, has a business plan over 12 months. The another one need to get immediate result, to actually address a market and push his idea before maybe somebody else is going to do the same and go faster than you. So I think when you're in that situation to have the opportunity to meet that big organization, what should you do? What should you focus on to make sure that actually you're not going to fail your business because you're going to keep being kept waiting during 8 months, a partnership that maybe will never be concluded, right? So on that situation, when I'm in that position to meet a new exciting business, is really, let's set up the expectation right? Do you have like an already running use case with a minimum pool of product so that you can actually sell to the big organization a proof of concept? Or you still at that stage that you're trying to see how you could potentially find clients? I think it's very important to come with a minimum variable product that is already running, minimum set of product, so that it makes sense for the big organization. Don't plan everything on that big partnership that you may do with the big organization, because it may be done like 12 months late versus what you were expecting. And I think, lastly, is always remember, it's true, you're not working on the same time scale.
Good stuff, good stuff. So don't put all your eggs in one basket. Have a ready product already for that larger company that you want to collaborate with, and don't depend on them having your product scale, take off with them. So good points there. Thank you for that. Okay, we're talking earlier. You're the team lead, tech ecosystem space with FCMB. What about your thoughts as well as far as what is required for a good collaboration in the fintech space?
Okay, I think it's on now. Okay, so my perspective is, so like every form of collaboration, be it in fintech, be it in agri-tech, insurtech, be it in whatever you do that consists of human beings, you need to have, number one, something similar to what Elsa has mentioned, the clarity of communication. When people are in groups, be it the big corporate, be it the startup, be it incubators, accelerators, key players in the tech ecosystem, you have to have clear communication. A corporate must be able to tell a startup that I can only move from A to B between 30 months. And the startup should be able to appreciate where the corporate is coming from. The problem usually is in a scenario where a startup, for example, engages a corporate and a corporate is not clear in communication and is not clear in managing the expectations of the startup. So it's just like a scenario between a parent and a child, So you should be able to tell your child that, you know what, this is what I can do at certain time, so that there's no discontent. So I've mentioned part of communication, which is linked to transparency. There also has to be a sense of managing competition vis-a-vis collaboration, So part of the challenges in the fintech space is we have several people providing the same kind of values to even the same industry. Is it possible for this set of people to have a common ground and come together to form a stronger unit to be able to achieve the greater good for the fintech space and for whatever space, So being able to come together as a unit, being able to ensure that there's transparency in communication, and very importantly, for any collaboration, there needs to be a sense of humility. Humility is a key part of collaboration because for people to work together, they must be able to come from down their high horses to take in information from Mr. A, Mr. B, Mr. C, Mr. D, and transform it into something worthwhile for everybody. And collaboration also, a key component is you must ensure that every component that wants to collaborate always has a sense of ownership. So Mr. A must not appear as if he's the captain driving every other person. Every other person sense that to develop the fintech space, we are all equal partners, even though we know based on resources, based on capacity, some partners are bigger than the other. But, you must be able to balance that collaborations are possible. Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I got open lines of communications, like a relationship, and then humility. I don't know if anyone watched Trevor Noah's interview with Burner Boy. He said humility and Nigerians don't mix. You agree with him, or are we humble? Are we humble people? They're laughing enough. I think they know. Okay, but thank you for that. All right, open lines of communication, humility, and making sure you're part of a team. Very good points. Ayodeji, help us out. What's your combination for a win-win collaboration in the fintech space?
Yeah, thank you so much. I think the first thing we need to understand is without collaboration, there can't be any success, actually. A lot of times people believe that people have overestimated their abilities. So you see the big companies think they can do it alone. The smaller companies feel maybe they can be disruptors or maybe they don't even have any hope. Now, coming from the big company's point of view, reality is that people say a single tree can make a forest. Now, here's the thing. I always tell people, like, if you've gone to the market before, you've never seen a pepper seller sitting by herself. And the reason being that if you do that, nobody comes to you. But if you stay with your other pepper sellers, they come around, but you can now compete locally. Now, what I've seen in Nigeria is quite some people are doing collaboration. Like, if you look at bankers, if you look at manufacturer associations of Nigeria, they collaborate and they get a few things done. But within the fintech space, there hasn't been any collaboration. Everybody feels, oh, I'm the superstar. I'm the one that can bring out this amazing product and get it out. But unfortunately, right, it doesn't work that way. Because you end up facing the same challenges that everybody is facing, but you're never able to solve it by yourself. But when you come together, you can leverage on each other. We all know about synergy, where you have 2 plus 2 will be equal to 10. But when you go by yourself, 2 plus 2 may be equal to 3. And so, like he said, that we have to be humble enough to know that we don't have the ability to do it by ourselves. Now, when we come together, we've all been in different meetings where you come with an idea, and then someone else brings another idea, and suddenly you realize that, look, that's a superior idea. And then you can build on that. That's what you get out of collaboration. So when people come together and everybody puts their ideas on the table, you can combine 2 or 3, you could decide to jettison the one that isn't good enough so you don't waste money, waste time, and then you back what works. And I believe if we have that, it's going to help. Even beyond bringing innovation to the market, even from an operational point of view. I know that most fintech don't talk about it, but sometimes we have fraud. Now, people in Nigeria don't share fraud information. Now, so this fraudster knows that if I go to her and I steal money, I can go to him and steal another, because she is not going to tell anyone. Now, if we look at the global email network, there's something they call the spam house, where everybody actually pull together their information. That's what has been protecting all our mailboxes from the avalanches of spams that go around every day because of collaboration. So, look, it just makes sense. I think it's the only way to go if anybody's going to make progress, especially if the smaller players want to be able to survive and thrive in the shadow of the bigger players.
You can't do it alone. Thank you so much for that. Thank you. Ms. Essen, what's your combination for a win-win collaboration in the fintech space?
So I'll say everyone had spoken, in details, but one missing puzzle out when you're trying to collaborate with a big entity. So I'll use Microsoft, right? Just so many. It's a huge organization. There's so many departments. As a matter of fact, I probably don't have a clue on half of the departments that exist. So when you're thinking of a collaboration with Microsoft, then you need to be very clear on which particular team am I collaborating with? Where do you want to sell your message to? Because quite often what I've seen it happen over time is you are selling your message to the wrong team. So think of it as, if I wanted to use example within the Microsoft portfolio, so think of it that you have a solution that would probably, fit toward an ERP, a small ERP solution, and then you're selling it to a team that works on the enterprise. Now, Microsoft has a solution in the enterprise space. So technically, you're selling it to a team which you're technically telling them, I want to collaborate with Microsoft to compete with Microsoft. Howbeit, there's a room for that. But if you had done it differently, you're taking it to a smaller bunch, to like the SMB team, which probably the ERP solution is somewhat too expensive for a small, medium market, then those guys would begin to look at holistically, what sort of collaboration can happen? Is your solution running off the Microsoft cloud? Can I be running with it as an indigenous Microsoft solution? How be it the IP is yours? So I think from a startup standpoint, I see that puzzle is always missing a lot. If you're trying to collaborate with an organization, please do the homework of understanding what's the structure there, right? Who am I supposed to be speaking with? Am I speaking to the right person? Maybe by just speaking to the right person, you might be able to do things faster, easier, and more dots.